There are two identical twin brothers that live together. One happens to be a well-respected dentist, and the other can't seem to keep a job. Instead of actively looking for work, he likes to sit around at home. One Saturday, the dentist is hungry and puts his brother on the spot. He tells him to get off his lazy behind and go get them some food. After some protest, the lazy brother takes the car and leaves for the store. In the meantime, the dentist takes a nap on his day off. He turns off his phone so he won't be interrupted. About 30 minutes later, the lazy brother gets into a head-on collision in the intersection by the grocery store. His vital signs are fading. He's unconscious and barely moving. An ambulance picks him up and rushes him to the hospital. He ends up in the emergency room under observation, but his condition is critical. They try calling his dentist brother, but he doesn't pick up because his phone is off. The dentist wakes to a knock on the door. Suspecting a solicitor, he ignores it, but the knocking continues. Eventually, he resolves to get up and yell at the person at the door. When he does, he reveals the Grim Reaper. He is just as he appears in movies, a full skeleton underneath a tattered cloak. The Grim Reaper swears, "Oh no, this always happens with identical twins." "What do you mean?" asks the dentist. "Well, if you must know, your brother was in a critical car accident and I've come to take him to the underworld. I'm afraid his time on Earth has ended. I'll take my leave now." The dentist is noticeably upset. He says, "Wait, isn't there some way I can challenge you for my brother's life? After all, you made the mistake. Certainly there must be a way I can bargain for his life." The Grim Reaper asks, "What do you have in mind?" The dentist thinks. "How about a challenge? If I beat you, you let my brother go free." The Grim Reaper laughs. "I will beat you in any challenge. What challenge do you propose?" The dentist smiles. "I propose we see who has the cleanest teeth. 5 minutes of brushing each, then we decide." "Very well," says the Grim Reaper, who makes his way to the bathroom. Once there, he pulls back his tattered cloak to reveal his skull. It's glistening. He takes a toothbrush from the bathroom, loads it with toothpaste, and brushes. After 5 minutes, the shiniest teeth anyone has ever seen glisten and make the room bright. The Grim Reaper grins. "You are foolish human. But you are entitled to your chance." The dentist takes another toothbrush, loads it with toothpaste, and starts brushing like a madman. When his 5 minutes are up, he spits out the paste. He smiles. It's unbelievable. The shine from the dentist's teeth is so beautiful that he can see the Grim Reaper's reflection in his perfectly clean teeth. The winner is obvious. The Grim Reaper hangs his head in shame. "You win, human. This time, your brother will live." He disappears in a puff of smoke. At the same instant, the bedridden brother wakes up in the hospital. Not only is he uninjured, he seems perfectly healthy. Suddenly, the phone by his bed rings. It's his brother, the dentist. He picks up. "Hey, bro, you'll never believe what happened. Apparently, I went out to the market and got hit by a car. They say I almost died." The dentist smiles on the phone and says, "That's interesting, bro. Today you might say that I also had a brush with death." Khaled the gambler calls his tax attorney, and they go to see the IRS agent. As they are waiting in the office, the IRS agent looks over his paperwork and says, "The reason for your audit is that you have a relatively lavish lifestyle but not much income to justify it. Can you tell me what you do for a living?" The gambler says, "I am a professional gambler." "Gambler?" said the IRS agent with a slightly puzzled and surprised look on his face. "Yes, I make my money by betting. Would you like a demonstration?" "Sure," said the IRS agent. "Let's have a demonstration." "I will bet you $1,000 that I can bite my eye," said the gambler. "You have a bet," replied the IRS agent with a smirk on his face. The gambler pops out his glass eye and bites it. IRS agent is shocked as he did not see that coming, and he did agree to a $1,000 bet from a gambler's attorney. "All right, this was not really fair," said the gambler. "I will give you a chance to win your money back. I will bet you another $1,000 that I can bite my other eye." IRS agent looks over the guy's paperwork and see that he is not legally blind and takes the bet. The gambler takes out his dentures and bites his other eye. The IRS agent is now visibly stressed and sweating from being on the hook for $2,000. "I tell you what, double or nothing, I will stand on the edge of your desk, close my eyes, and piss into the garbage can on the other side of the room without spilling a drop. What do you say?" The IRS agent is a little perplexed, but does not see how that would be possible and takes the bet. The gambler stands on the agent's desk, unzips his pants, closes his eyes, and pisses all over the agent's desk. "Yes!" exclaimed the IRS agent, knowing he won the bet, and does not owe the gambler any money. "Ah, shit," said the attorney. "What's the matter?" asked the IRS agent. "Well, he bet me $20,000 that he will come to your office today, piss all over your desk, and you would be happy about it. Dave was bragging to his boss one day. You know, I know everyone there is to know. Just name someone, anyone, and I know them." Tired of his boasting, his boss called his bluff. "Okay, Dave, how about Tom Cruise?" "No problem, boss. Tom and I are old friends, and I can prove it." So Dave and his boss fly out to Hollywood and knock on Tom Cruise's door, and Tom Cruise shouts, "Dave, what's happening? Great to see you. Come on in for a beer." Although impressed, Dave's boss is still skeptical. After they leave Cruise's house, he tells Dave that he thinks him knowing Cruise was just lucky. No, just name anyone else," Dave says. "President Obama," his boss quickly retorts. "Yep," Dave says. "Old buddies, let's fly out to Washington." And off they go. At the White House, Obama spots Dave on the tour and motions him and his boss over, saying, "Dave, what a surprise. I was just on my way to a meeting, but you and your friend come on in and let's have a beer first and catch up." Well, the boss is very shaken by now, but still not totally convinced. After they leave the White House grounds, he expresses his doubts to Dave, who again implores him to name anyone else. "Pope Francis," his boss replies. "Sure," says Dave. "I've known the Pope for years." So off they fly to Rome. Dave and his boss are assembled with the masses at the Vatican's St. Peter's Square when Dave says, "This will never work. I can't catch the Pope's eye among all these people. Tell you what, I know all the guards, so let me just go upstairs and I'll come out on the balcony with the Pope." He disappears into the crowd headed towards the Vatican. Sure enough, half an hour later, Dave emerges with the Pope on the balcony, but by the time Dave returns, he finds that his boss has had a heart attack and is surrounded by paramedics. Making his way to his boss' side, Dave asks him, "What happened?" His boss looks up and says, "It was the final straw. You and the Pope came out onto the balcony and the man next to me said, 'Who the fuck is that on the balcony with Dave?'" It was getting crowded in heaven one day, so St. Peter decided for one day to only accept people who could make him laugh. A man came walking up to the pearly gates, and St. Peter said to him, "All right, bud, you're only getting in today if you can make me laugh, so why don't you tell me about how you died?" The man looked at St. Peter and said, "Oh man, it was awful. I was absolutely sure my wife was having an affair, so I left work early and came home to catch her in the act. When I got home, sure as shit, there she was naked in bed. I looked all over the apartment, but I couldn't find the guy anywhere, so I went out onto the balcony. We live on the 25th floor, and there he was, hanging over the edge by his fingertips. I ran inside, grabbed a hammer, and started smacking his hands and fingers with it. He finally let go and fell down 25 stories, but he landed in some bushes, so I ran inside and grabbed the refrigerator and heaved it over the balcony down on top of him, crushing him and killing him. But the strain and exertion from picking up the refrigerator gave me a heart attack and I died." St. Peter let out a faint chuckle, and since it was a crime of passion, he decided to let this poor soul in. Another man came walking up to the pearly gates, and St. Peter told this man the same thing, that in order to get in, he had to make St. Peter laugh. The second guy told him about how he died. "Well, St. Peter, it was awful. I was doing aerobics on the balcony of my 26th-story apartment when a flock of birds came out of nowhere and startled me. I fell over the railing but managed to grab the balcony of the apartment below me. All of a sudden, some maniac came outside and started hitting my hands with a hammer until I let go. Luckily, I landed in some bushes, but then this guy dropped a fucking refrigerator on me." St. Peter chuckled again, let the second man into heaven, and decided he could really start to enjoy his job. A third man came walking up to the pearly gates. St. Peter gave his speech to this third man and then told him, "Tell me about the day you died." "Oh man, St. Peter, you're never going to believe this. All right, so picture this. I'm butt naked hiding in a refrigerator. One of the parish priests from the cathedral went on a fishing trip. On the last day of his trip, he hooked a monster fish and proceeded to reel it in. The guide holding a net yelled, "Look at the size of that son of a bitch!" The priest looks shocked. "My son, such language is uncalled for from a child of God." The guide, thinking quickly as he did not want to offend the priest, says, "No, Father, that's what kind of fish it is, a son of a bitch fish." "Really?" The priest says, "Well then, help me land this son of a bitch." After a long struggle, the priest and the guide finally get the fish in the boat. As they marveled at the size of the monster, the guide says, "Father, that's the biggest son of a bitch I've ever seen. You must bring it home and cook it. You'll never eat anything as good as son of a bitch." Elated, the priest headed home to the rectory. While unloading his gear and his prize catch, Sister Mary inquired about his trip. "Sister, you simply must take a look at this big son of a bitch I caught," he exclaimed. Sister Mary gasped. "Father!" made the sign of the cross and clutched her rosary. The priest shook his head. "Fear not, sister, that's what kind of fish it is, a son of a bitch fish." Sister Mary informed the priest that the Pope was making a surprise visit to the cathedral and that they should fix the son of a bitch for his dinner. Humble as ever, she said, "Father, it would be the greatest privilege of my life if you'd give me the honor of cleaning the son of a bitch." And of course, the priest consented. As she was cleaning the huge fish, the bishop walked in. "What are you doing, sister?" "Father wants me to clean this big son of a bitch for the Pope's dinner," she replied. "Sister Mary," the bishop exclaimed, "if you're that upset, I can clean it for you. There is no need for such vulgar language." "No, Your Eminence," the nun replied, bowing. "It's called a son of a bitch fish." "Really?" said the bishop. "Well, in that case, I shall fix up a delicious meal to go with it, and that son of a bitch can be the main course. Let me know when you've finished cleaning." Now, on the night of the Pope's visit, everything was perfect. The bishop had prepared an excellent meal. The wine was fine, and the fish was just as succulent as the fishing guide had promised. The Pope said, "What a wonderful fish. Where did you get it?" "I caught that son of a bitch," said the priest. "I cleaned the son of a bitch," said the nun. "I cooked that son of a bitch," said the bishop. The Pope looked around at each of them. A big smile crept across his face as he said, "Well, I sure as hell liked eating that son of a bitch. You motherfuckers are my kind of people."